let's get everything rolling here. A surprise Saturday stream. Away we go. So we got a Radical Cup tonight. Only 6 racers on the track so far, with 20 minutes remaining of practice. And looks like a lot of battles still to be hashed out according to the standings. So very curious to see who ends up turning up. We'll lock in with Potato to kick things off. Mighty Fine in the black and white number 5 racer, according to the title card. Say number 5 on the Radical itself. But hey, we'll count it. Heading with some speed through turn 3. This is a trickier track. Might not look it, but it's pretty slippery, so these guys really do have to work on their setups. Make sure they've got some good downforce to help send it through some of these turns. Racers just and we even see as a few more hit the track. We get a nice turnout for this evening. Potato suffers a little bit of broadcaster's curse, so we'll jump over to El Burrito. Man from across the pond, trying to chase down Milan and Cesare, neither of which have turned up just yet, so still a chance for both of them. Number 70 car treating this one as an outlap, just keeping the tires warm, getting ready to dial in for today's event. This is probably going to anger some of our British viewers, but man, I can only ever think of the Austin Powers theme when I see a big old Union Jack. Still looks good. Just think of Mike Myers real quick. So Walgarito settles in with his outlap. Let's check in with Maple, currently on a push in a what I would call a Golf color scheme. Radical. I think looks pretty nice coming down the track here. Only a few hundredths up on his time. Didn't get a nice run up into turn 5, but makes up a couple tenths just going around the corners. Seems to have hit a little bit of an issue on that 211 through that turn. Stick with Maple as they look for some improvement on this lap. Very curious to see how tonight goes. I have not been following too much of the Radical Cup, so don't know what to expect. I'm only going to be able to really base things off of the live timings and the standings. Looking right now in the off time. Oh, we see Milan is actually here and on the track. Cesare and Victor show up. These guys are in competition for the final 3 points. Yeah, not as familiar with the World Tour things. I'm not sure if people typically show up a little bit more in practice than they do qualifying, so we'll have to see how that goes. Carrying around some speed into the final straightaway. Already 1.2 seconds up, so going to get under 210. Based off of Potato's time alone, he's going to need a little bit more to get competitive. He's trying to fend off that man right there. What do we got? So that's going to be the Inferno in the yellow livery, number 34. Just trying to learn some of the grid. Your announcer there in the E30. And we see Milan taking things out wide on the exit from an outlap laps. This is going to be Milan's first clean attempt, at least while we were here in the private practice. It looks like they've set up a 2:05.4. Over 60 laps of practice leading up to today's event. So getting very familiar with the track. Oh, I was going to say and its limits, but sends things a little bit harder than I think they intended to right there. We'll let them regain the focus as we jump on board with Mr. Ralphman in the Jägermeister Racer. Number 35. Really carrying on with some pace into turn 3. Starting to see some improvement. See where that minute was lost. I assume they teleported to pits somewhere along the way, so unfortunately that delta's going to jump up to plus 30 seconds at some point, and we'll lose track of where they're really at. But off to a great start, heading into turn 5. Nice and late on the brakes, but able to keep it on the grid. I got a nice run up for a minute. See El Garito putting up a 2:06.7, sending Potato a message that he is here to play. Milan on an outlap still. Going to have plenty of time to try and send a message. But again, this is practice, so you might not see that anytime soon. See 7 racers now, so slowly these guys are filtering in here. A lot of these guys have done a lot of laps in the off season, so I'm sure we'll see them a little bit later. They might not feel like they need as much of the practice to kick things off. We're hanging on with one racer at a time. Oh, I was gonna say, which we don't typically do, but I was curious to see where the improvement would come for Mr. Ralphman. Potato through turn 14 with a little bit of pace. Is also on an outlap, so not too much. Keep an eye on. Check over with Milan. Still trying to get around the track. I think it's just going to be El Garito for us to follow as he toys with that 2:06 heading into the final corner. I'm sure he's wishing he had a little bit of a draft right now, but take what we can get. 23 racers with points on the scoreboard, and going to be interesting to see how many show up for the event. This would be a nice one to have a fuller grid on. Margarito only 3 points away from Milan, so Milan definitely going to be looking to keep out in front. I think El Garito would need both races if this is a 2x20. I actually can't remember what we're racing tonight. Let's take a look here. We'll lose sound for just a moment. But we've got a 45-minute race tonight, so that actually changes things. El Garito definitely going to need to stay in front and put someone between them. So that means he's going to be relying on Cesare, Victor, Jawa, or Justin to arrive. Not sure if Jawa will be there tonight, but that would be an interesting one to see. Jawa definitely has some strong pace whenever they're present on the grid. As Milan not happy with where they're at, gonna take a little bit of time to get comfortable. Just jumping around to see who's out on an attack lap. Well, Mr. Ralphman's at least coming around for it, so let's see what he can string together. Currently with a 2:09 on board, or sorry, 3:12. Oops, brings it down to a 2:13. on that last one before heading into the pits. Right now they got a 14 km/h headwind down the back straightaway, so it's not really doing these cars any favors. That could be why we're not seeing any of those 205s that we were earlier. Milan looking for a few more to join as well in Discord. It's kind of funny. Speed Bong watching the stream. Speed, you can co-broadcast with me if you want. Up to you. I don't know if you're just watching. I'll invite you, Speed. Come on. So we watch Mr. Ralphman through the carousel, losing a little bit of time there, as I think he breaks for avoidance on the spun out car. Derek Rochu ahead. Those guys matched up in similar liveries, so got a little bit of a team thing going to an extent. What's up, Gordon? Ralph swinging through Canada corner. He's getting close to his time. I mean, a big final corner here really could help him out. And I think get him a little closer. Again, we haven't seen what his top time is according to the Delta, I don't think. Not everyone is orange. Got a few that are not orange. He is quite literally Britain. That is a fair assessment. And then we've got Milan's got a nice little multicolor scheme going here. Big fan of that one, frankly. But everybody is not present at the moment, I'll say that. We're seeing the Inferno out on an outlet though, so that'll be entertaining to see. Fresh time out on the board. See Derek join at some point as well. 9 minutes remaining of practice. Derek, you're looking pretty good there. I think at this point these guys just want fellow company on the grid, but I didn't see the extent of the lagging, so maybe they'll thank you, who knows. Maple locking in at 210 at the moment. Just shy of getting under it into the single digits, so we'll be keeping an eye on them when they head out for another lap from the pits. Currently got 18 degrees on the road, so tires are going to be in a decent state, nothing too overheaty. Speed bump joining, but muted.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
A little bit. You're very light. I don't know if your microphone's far, if it's just because these cars are so loud. Let's see. Oh, I can't even alter my audio, so that's just where we're at. Oh, they're even louder in the car. That was worse. Well, how you doing, Speed?
Not too bad. I ended up watching yesterday's stream there last night. That was so much fun.
Yeah, you guys were battling like crazy. Jawa is signed up for this season, but I don't know if we'll be seeing them in the race today. That would have taken a lot out of them last night, I'm sure.
Yeah. How far in the season are they right now?
Today is the finale.
No way.
Yep. So it all comes down to this. They do have a few battles going on right now based on the people who are present. We've got Milan and El Garito battling it out. They need one more person from their class to be present. That way Ash has a chance at taking the overall, I think. Although fastest lap might come into play.
Are the classes separated by different cars, or are they running the same car?
No, they're just separated by, the standings. So nothing too official. Actually, I wonder if I can get that to show on here. Play around with it for a second. Yeah, see, it's showing classes, but like it's not that kind of classes,
That'd be kind of interesting to mix it up a bit, like have the different CCs. I think the one step down from this is like 50 cc.
Yeah, I was hoping, but unfortunately, I think we have to have different cars altogether between the classes to get it to do exactly what we're thinking of. But at least I got it to show race position stuff, so we'll take that for now. Still only 7 guys on the grid, 5.5 minutes remaining of practice. Derek, I only see the Inferno from your class. I don't see... Oh, Mr. Ralphman is there as well. It'll be close. Mr. Ralphman definitely going to pick up some strong points to you today.
They do a reverse grid on this?
Huh?
Did they do a reverse grid on this?
It's going to be a 45-minute race straight through. And it looks like Asha's prayers have been answered as Cesar is joining, so that'll be another one from the pro class.
Oh no.
So has the opportunity to help him out. And these are some loud cars.
Yeah. I had to turn down the stream volume.
Yeah, I don't know how well they can hear us over these engines. I'm trying to stay back a little bit, but when it comes time for race time, we'll obviously have to be right in the action here. As Cesar definitely has a custom livery, judging by the icon there. This is the number 7 racer. Oh, I like it. It's got the ducks on it, or duck divers. Beautiful. That's a nice rubber ducky collection that this man's got. This racer's got. And Cesar pushing the limits of the track. These guys make it look easy, but as someone who's used these radicals a couple of times, this track is not as easy to keep planted as they're making it look, so power to them. You race these ones?
Myself? No.
They're not the easiest to keep planted, but when you do figure it out, they are very satisfying to loop around the track.
Actually, never mind. No, I have before. We've done some in the past.
I mean, we've run them on a few Wednesdays, and they were in one of the endurance events. I don't know if you drove in that one.
Probably not. I find these cars really hard on my wrists. Like any kind of like anything like this, or F1
I can barely hear you over these engines sometimes. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Just menace us. It's like someone put a dirt bike engine in an F4 car. Okay, so it's not just me. They're saying that you're a little quiet. So is there where you can string your microphone a bit closer?
I don't know. Let me try something.
Huh?
I was asking if that was better.
And I might answer it then. got Victor from the Pro class joining in here. So all 4 racers who are in close competition for that final spot are present and ready to fight. Michaels and Wojtek not present for the battle for P1 in the amateur class. Lauber not yet present in the battle for P1 in the rookie class. Potato toying with their own personal best at the moment. Needs to find about almost a full second, and is not going to be able to find it in the grass, unfortunately, so they'll have to reset with a fresh lap. As we join back up with Cesar. I love the duck divers. This is just fantastic.
Okay, this might be really loud.
No, you're doing good. That's way better. It's perfect.
Okay. Yeah, it was on 50% for some reason.
Oh yeah, that's no good. Alright, so this is going to be Cesar's first hot lap. Already over 30 seconds up on the Delta, so we've lost a true read on our end. In the open practice sessions, they did 83 laps, it says. Holy cow. That's not good. So 83 laps and topped with 2:05.9. No one's been able to find that 2:05 time just yet. So Speed, how you feeling about getting moved up to the expert class in the final few weeks of the GT3 season?
Oh, I'm all for it. I'm happy. It's good to kind of take it up another notch.
I think Tommy Boy's been hinting that he might want a move as well, so we'll see where he ends up next week. And if he still wants that. Him and Botlando and Seb have been having some good 3-way battles, though, across some of those tracks.
Sure.
Got Nico here in the chat.
Tommy's definitely got the pace for it.
Yeah, Tom has definitely got some pace. He's one of the racers that just falls to some bad luck every once in a while. I know him, and I Am a J, and Josh Fulton all stand out as 3 racers who just, they don't purposefully find themselves in the midst there, but somehow end up in it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but Josh actually ended up doing pretty well yesterday too.
Yeah, not too bad at all. Josh was, he made a huge climb back. I know, I think he ended up, he said right back where he started, but with how close that grid was staying together for pretty much the entire race, that's tough to do.
Yeah.
That was one thing that we were shocked to see, is that, you know, at no point was there really a big opportunity for anyone to get lapped or for lap traffic to come into play, just because of how well everyone was keeping up with the overall pace, you know.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised about that too. Like, I'm kind of glad that didn't happen.
Yeah. And it all came down to one turn.
Yeah.
Jawa taking, I think it was turn 2, just a little bit too wide through the Dunlop chicane, and I think that was where you had your moment, if I remember correctly.
It was just before it was a chicane just before the finish. Right past him there, and then looks like he slipped up a bit there just before the first long straight.
Oh, the Ford chicane.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
You going out and doing a lap?
They are doing a lap right now, it seems, in the heavy fog. I like that these guys put the heavy fog in their qualifying. I haven't done that in a while for our other season events, but these guys seem up to the challenge. Oh, as I say that. Now 16 degrees on the track. I feel like it went colder. What do they got going on for weather here? Ah, I see. Everything is set for all sessions, so. Alright. Let me help out a
Wow,
little
the
bit here.
visibility is just so low.
I'll help out with the overall. Give me a minute.
Ah, there we go.
Yeah, but I'm gonna make it even more so. Let's see if I can fix that. See if that works.
What was the track temperature?
Did the weather
during
get a little bit
practice?
warmer? I can't tell.
Not sure where to say that.
It's at 18 now. What is that? Is that the second range or the first range? That's the second range. Still light fog.
Definitely an improvement in visibility for sure.
Yeah, we're gonna see. Down to
Potato with the 218.
oh, that's what it was. Okay, sorry.
First over the line.
See if that does it. Did anything work? I don't think it's doing it. Yeah, I guess not. Alright. Well, I tried to fix the weather thing. It doesn't seem like I'm going to be able to on the fly.
Did it say 13 degrees?
in the air, the track is 18.
Okay, yeah, I can see it now.
So a little bit better.
Well,
And then they got a 2 km/h crosswind. Let's jump up to some of the guys up front here in qualifying. 11 minutes remaining before the race. And Potato finds himself at around a 208, 209 at the moment. So looking pretty good. Got things a little bit different. We can see a live feed of people cutting the track, so I can get a better sense of whether or not these are clean ones. Potato currently on a clean lap. He heads to the end of sector 1. Sorry, sector 2. See, I'm not as familiar with Road America as I am some of these other ones. Ooh, the grid's starting to fill up here. Huh?
Is that through live timings that you're able to see the track cuts? Or?
Yeah, I with the admin account on the latest version, we can there's like a race control panel, so I can see track cuts. I can see as people enter and exit pits, collisions, all that, like, as they happen. Potato putting up a 208.053, but Milan, the first one to find the 205s, does it with a 205.828. So setting some strong pace now. Try one other thing here. I don't think that one worked. Okay. A for effort. Milan heading with get some speed through turn 3 here on a bit of an outlap. So let's kind of jump around to some of the other pro class members. Victor and outlap themselves. El Garito, though, starting off strong, 3/10 up on their time heading through turn 3. Looking to get at least into the 206s here, which they're at currently. It'll take a big sector 2 to push them into the 205s where they need to be. El Garito's got a chance to take on Milan. It's not going to be something that he gets done easily. Exciting stuff here, Speed. Have you been paying attention at all? No, you're good. Have you been paying attention at all to the championship? Do you have any expectations for today?
I was just actually looking at the stats, like as you were talking about all that stuff. I don't know.
It's gonna be interesting. You got two commentators who don't know too much about what's going on, just know where the battles are. Cesare looking to get a few spots up. So all 4 of those guys need to catch up to Milan, so the pressure's on to get into the 205s up and down the board. El Garito with 2 green sectors, but needs to throw some purple in here on sector 3 if they're gonna find a 205. Keeping up with their own pace, but I don't think it's going to be enough to keep up with the pace of our current leader. Might get them into the mid 206s if they can keep it on the track, which they do. And they will head across the line with a little bit of improvement, gets them into P2, but not enough to catch up to Milan. Let's jump back to a couple other guys here. We've got Ferez, who was another one to hit the 205s during the open practice, I believe. So someone to keep an eye on here in the final moments of qualifying. I'm seeing Jawa has joined, so not too tired after your battle like yesterday, huh, Speed?
What's that?
I said Jawa just seems to have joined the grid, so not too tired after your battle last night.
He's gonna give this a go, right? I'm just looking at like there's quite a few people missing from like the last event that were in like the podium.
Yeah, it is surprising. I'd say, yeah, I mean, a lot of these battles are really close for some final podium spots. You would think a few more would be hopping in, but I will say, at least we've got a nice rounded out battle happening in the pro class. In the amateur class, I see Potato and Maple, at least both here to give each other a little bit of a fight. And then in the rookie class, we got a few guys who can try and shake up the final podium position. So some battles happening around the grid. It's going to be a long 45-minute race. I'm not sure about the fuel consumption, if these guys are going to have to pit or not. We'll find out in real time with the rest of you.
Are you able to see like their fuel consumption at all?
That I don't have the power over, unfortunately. Would be pretty cool. Perez struggling to find the pace on this lap, so we'll let them go. We saw Jawa for a moment. I think Jawa re-entered the pits, so we'll have to wait to catch up with that livery. The Inferno and Zero to Hero still looking for hot laps. Actually, I just noticed Zero is here, and he is part of the fight in the amateur class, so that'll be an exciting one to watch. Alright, there we go. We do have Jawa headed out. Just want to see what the livery looks like. And it's going to be a Techly Racing livery. I don't think I've seen this one in an event before. I think the endurance event was a slightly different. Jawa trying to go slow to let the Duck Racer of Cesar get out around. Give him a little bit of a draft, but not too much. He's probably going to try and stay close enough to catch a draft themselves on the hot lap attempt. next go around. What do you think, Speed? Should I head out in the E30? Give them a run for their money? I feel like that would be like a 2-minute, 35-second lap, probably. Thing is not built for the track.
No.
Jawa making that car look glued to the carousel, taking it in high fourth, touching fifth gear on the way through. So definitely has some strong pace on the out lap. We did see the Inferno and Zero to Hero getting some clean ones on the board. Zero jumping up into P7 with that 209. I think Mr. Ralph Man looks to be close to improvement. Oh, not going to be on this one. But the Inferno, on the other hand, showing some strong pace through the beginning of their lap. So working their way through Sector 2, almost 2 seconds up on the time already. Lots of room for potential. Oh, if they can hang on. Oh, and unfortunately,
no.
Broadcaster's curse strikes. The part that we do a little bit too well. Jumping on with Potato, a little up on their time. Looking to get into those 206s. We've got Victor and Milan in the 205. Caesar just outside. And El Garito looking to shave off a second somewhere along the way.
I'm liking that livery.
I know, it's very, like slick. That's what I'm looking for. And that black and white combination, it's simple. The pattern keeps it interesting. Big fan.
Yeah, those brakes are just lighting up.
Everyone's pushing really hard here in the final moments of qual. Just trying to get as much of an advantage off the start as they can. That's the nice thing about the same spec racing is you see these guys push a little harder than they usually would. Surprisingly, not a cut from Potato there, based on the live timings. Does cost them the green. So won't see any improvement. Jump over to El Garito. Looks to be about 2/10 up on their time. This will be a good improvement. Again, still not enough to get into those 205s I know they're hunting for. But might be enough. I was going to say to maybe get close to Caesar, but Caesar is sitting just outside the 205, so El Garito will have enough time to send it around once more. We'll see what they can come up with. The Inferno takes a cut on this lap, so won't be setting a clean one in the final moments of qual. Let's see about Mr. Ralph Man. Half a second up on his time. Looking to catch up to, well, I was going to say Zero to Hero, but looks like he is already ahead on that one. We're not sure where Perez will, I'm sorry, not in the same class as Zero to Hero. It looks like the Inferno might be the main competition for Mr. Ralph Man. Don't see Jazz Monkey or any of the other guys from that rookie class, so it's going to be a battle between the Inferno and Mr. Ralph Man. Mr. Ralph Man might have the power to change up the outcome of the Glauber versus Inferno battle going on for P1. Not sure how the drops are going to work out. 28 seconds remaining. Mr. Ralph Man ripping around. Probably not going to get another lap in, so trying to make this one count. 7/10 up on their time in that orange 35 Jägermeister Racer. Has a big corner here. Able to keep the speed heading into Bill Mitchell. Only losing a 10th, but every 10th counts. They're going to have to get back on the gas here, try and find a little something into the final straightaway. And unfortunately, they find themselves off the pace. That delta is tumbling down. I don't know if it's going to be enough to get past Zero to Hero. It will be close. And it is just barely 7/100ths of a second. If I'm looking at that, or sorry, 6/100ths of a second, roughly. is all that separates them. It looks like we've got 0 to Hero trying to cross the line with a little more improvement. Doesn't get any closer, so won't be setting a clean one there. Checking out around the grid to see who else is pushing through. I see Cesar trying to get by on an outlap, so won't be setting anything hot there. Neither will the Inferno. And who else we got out on the track there? That's L. No,
Probably
not
have time to do a lap yourself.
I know, we should send the broadcaster car out on the lap. I don't have the wheel plugged in, or I'd take you up on it. Just steering the drone cam with the controller. Old-fashioned way. The Inferno crosses the line with a little bit of improvement, I think. Or sorry, Victor crossed the line with a little bit of improvement, but not enough to catch up to Milan. So Milan will take home pole position. That was a nice little that was pretty good.
Good recovery.
Yeah, that's sweet. I lost my train of thought completely because of that. 10 out of 10.
I was just thinking, I hope nobody's coming behind him. Wow, they're just ripping through that turn.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, these guys have definitely dialed in the track enough with between the open practices, already today's event practice, and the qualifying itself. I'm thinking we're probably getting close to a triple-digit laps of practice for some of these guys. So they are ready to full send it for 45 minutes. It's nice to see they're taking advantage of the overtime here, you know.
That Jawa?
It is Jawa and the Techly Racer.
Just he only had enough time to maybe do what, like 4 or 5 laps of that?
That I'm not sure of. I'll have to keep an eye on their fuel usage here. I wish I had a way to directly, but we'll look at the chat and see if they start having conversation about pit stops and stuff.
You're not able to see it in their first-person view, are you?
It's not accurate from what I can tell, based on like other events we've done and stuff. Not the most accurate, at least.
Oh, his Delta's looking good.
I'll just ask. Pit stop is needed, confirmed by the race track. Potato says no, and then says but yes. So I'm gonna take that as a yes. A pit stop will be needed for the racers today. Look at that broadcast car. Oh, my pedals aren't going. That's sad. Oh, it's because it's not in gear. Hang on. Can I do that?
I see your clutch moving.
It won't let me put it in gear. That's so annoying. Alright. Anyway, we'll take a look up and down the grid here. So we've got Jawa in the Techly Racer. We have 2 yellow cars today. This one is going to be Ferez. Not a difference between them, so going to be hard to tell, but we'll try on the fly. Then we've got El Garito in the number 70 car, Milan in the 34, Victor in the number 3. I think this is Caesar. Yeah, it's Cesar in the number 7. Then we jump up a little bit further here to 0 to Hero in the yellow number 2 car, and Maple in the Gulf colored number 6, Potato in the black and white number 5, and all the way up here we've got the Inferno in the 3rd yellow car, oh geez, and Mr. Ralphman in the orange number 35. The heavy fog will clear before the race starts. It's been confirmed, so at least we don't have to worry about that. Base Cannon, how you doing, bud? In the chat. I know you love some radical racing. We're here for a fun one. You know what? Let me see if I can't just try this one more time. Next, weather. Dynamic, man. Alright, there we go. I was able to change it that time. So, lights out and away we go here, or at least in a couple of seconds. Wow, I haven't even started. But we've got the season finale 45-minute race with a pit stop for the World Tour. A couple of battles to be hashed out on the grid. As we see El Garito with a great start. Milan obviously ripping off the line, but El Garito going to be able to pick up a little bit of that draft as we head towards turn 1. We see only 2 wide in the back, so nobody risking anything major other than El Garito with a quick dive as Victor goes a little bit wide off the track, but manages to keep things together. Everybody getting real close and cuddly, a little bit of rubbing his races between the Brit and Mr. Milan, but they carry on through. You can see the whole grid sticking close together. Nobody's really got any sort of an advantage yet, but El Garito either lighter on fuel or able to pick up a side draft, gets a little bit of a move. Cesar a little later on the brakes than El Garito has to pull off, loses a couple of spots down to P6 in the mix. That's going to give Milan the chance to get through as we jump back on with the number 34 car. So he's got away with it for now. Only 0.3 seconds separating himself and Victor as El Garito tries to catch up from behind. See everybody getting close together, a little side-by-side action there as, Mr. Ralphman tries to get around Maple and succeeds, following a little bit of contact between Zero. And Mr. Ralphman, a wild spin there, causes Zero to Hero to kind of explode and keeps on moving. We're going to jump now to a little bit of side-by-side battling going on between Jawa and Cesar, down through Kettle Bottoms into a big corner heading towards Thunder Valley. We'll see if Cesar can hold on. They're certainly trying to, as we got Perez looking to hang on to a spot from Potato a little further back. Jump over to the action as Jawa gonna look to catch up on the straightaway, but a little bit of hesitation into the straight. It's not gonna give him the opportunity he was looking for. Perez, on the other hand, will have a chance. So Perez gets out front, but it's a really long straight. If Potato slots back in, he might be able to get back and make some sort of a dive opportunity. Perez slots in for him. So Potato going to go a little bit easy on the brakes while Perez goes out wide. Not wide enough to trigger a cut penalty at the moment. So all racers carrying on pretty cleanly. We see Victor goes off, rejoining, but leaving room for the grid. Drops all the way down to P7 as Mr. Ralphman starting to catch up a little bit behind. Gonna jump over now to Maple in the Gulf Racer, trying to catch up to the Inferno. Those guys battling it out. Different classes, so might be a little chance to work together and try and pick up a few positions. We see Jawa must have had a spin of some sort, finds himself half second behind Perez, now in P5. A lot of action here in the early moments of the race, not even 5 minutes in, and we've seen a ton of positional changes. The Inferno going off wide into the grass, that's going to give Maple an opportunity to get close. A late dive. Inferno sees it coming, and gets out of the way, able to get moving with some cleaner acceleration. And Maple's going to have to line up once more for the pass. Jumping now to Potato and Jawa. Going to get side by side through Kettle Bottom again. This seems to be Jawa's kryptonite, as we've seen Cesar make that move a little earlier on. Now Potato a little less successful. We'll have to regroup and try and hold off from Mr. Ralphman behind. Did see the Inferno get passed by Maple a few moments ago in the live standings. Victor now going to line up for their chance at Jawa. Zero is pitting, unfortunately, due to the lag issues. Something that we never like to see. One of the issues with sim side of sim racing as Victor pulls off a beautiful move through turns 1 and 2, getting almost a full second out in front of the number 5 car behind and beginning his hunt for P4. So let's take a moment to see where everything stands. 10 racers remaining after 5 minutes. We've got Milan struggling a little bit with grip up front through turn 5. Followed closely behind by El Garito, Cesar, Perez, then Victor, Jawa, and Potato. Really not too much of a gap between anybody, because there's Mr. Ralphman, who goes for a little bit of a spin through Corvette Bridge. We'll chalk that up to Broadcaster's Curse. That'll close the gap down and give Maple something to look forward to as they come flying by now significantly closer to Mr. Ralphman in front within 5 seconds.
That's a tricky turn.
Yeah, it's got a lot of elevation change to it for being as tight as it is.
And that dirty air definitely didn't help.
Not at all. These top 4 are definitely keeping things interesting. I wouldn't say it's safe for any of them. Even Milan is only really one bad turn away. Haven't seen any track cut infringement being handed out so far, which is kind of surprising. Cesar getting a little bit of a lineup here, has the acceleration and the draft, so might be able to pull off some sort of a late break move into P2 and try and get the move up to Milan in front. Did catch that one on the broadcast, Zero, unfortunately, with the lag spike there. Perez is really doing a good job at sticking behind, just kind of waiting for the chaos to resolve itself up front. Might be able to pick up a spot just because of that, although this battling is letting Milan float a few tenths away at a time.
They should try to work with each other to get up to P1.
Yeah, I mean, they've lost almost a full second now to the competition. El Garito doing a good job staying in front, but I think it's time to work as a unit. Victor taking advantage of this. I think he was at 2.1 seconds shy of this pack. Now only 1.1 seconds back. Shortly going to turn to a giant battle for P2. As Victor just outside drafting range. One good corner here and he's in the hump. We'll try and jump on through Kettle Bottom as Victor tries to make it a little bit interesting. Cesar might go for a dive up front here, but it gets blocked off and goes wide with Osh. See, 0 to Hero has rejoined the fight. Maple only 0.3 seconds away from the Inferno in the battle for P9.
It'd be interesting to see what happens here with P3 after this long straight.
Yeah, I mean,
between P4 and P3. I mean,
I do think Victor's going to be able to make the move the same way Maple did a little bit further down in the standings. And has to take it outside, way outside, a little bit onto the dirt. But will go in front of Perez. A little bit of an interesting moment there, as Mr. Ralphman has a little bit of a spin with the environment, drops behind Maple and the Inferno into P10. As we see 0 to Hero only a little bit away from that group. So it would be nice to see them catch up to the chaos there. I want to jump back to Perez's point of view in a second, but it seems like Victor might be able to pick up one more in these next few corners.
yeah, that was a nice exit. Definitely catching up.
It's keeping things close. -19 degrees Celsius on the track, so these tires should be in a decent spot. As Victor lining themselves up for an opportunity through Ketter Bottoms. This is where we saw Caesar make a move earlier. So can they defend the move that they were able to pull off? Victor late on the brakes, gonna go wide. Are they able to rejoin? They are. A little bit lenient with track limits today in the World Tour finale, but that's just everybody pushing as hard as they can at the end of the day. Looks like Perez may have had a spin, and that brings a few cars together. As Perez able to escape, a Potato was brought up a little bit closer to the number 5 Techly Racer, and definitely get some extra speed down the straightaway. Jawa's only hoping to be a little late.
Jawa's gearing is oh no,
A little bit of contact there, but both racers able to carry on. We're gonna jump over to another side-by-side battle. Sorry, you were saying?
no, I was just saying, I wonder if Jawa's gearing is like his final gears set pretty low, because it seems like people are just catching up to him on that straight there quite a bit.
I've definitely been wondering that myself. Definitely seems like even the acceleration he has isn't really keeping up with the pace of some of the rest of the grid. So might be a setup issue, which would be unfortunate for the finale, but able to hang on here, at least still keeping things interesting in the battle with Potato for P6.
Lock up there.
A little bit, but manages to get back on the gas. So still within a second of Victor in front. Milan pretty comfortable with almost a 4-second gap to El Garito behind. El Garito, I think, is going to have to pull out some sort of a strategy plan here. I think 1 lap of fuel might save you a couple of tenths, but it's not going to save 3 seconds. So really going to have to pull out something special. As Cesare heads through turn 14, a little bit off the pace from Victor in front. He's been clinging within a second, but he just can't seem to chip away at that at all, unfortunately. We do see a few other racers sticking close together here. We'll jump now to Jawa. They're 1.7 seconds away from Potato ahead. Has been joining and gaining a gap on that one. And just to give you a sense of the gap, just now entering the straightaway is going to be Maple in that Gulf number 6 racer. So we definitely have a few different fights going on around the grid. can argue the gap with that battle from P5 to P7 is only a spin or two away from that podium hunt. But this grouping back here, Maple, Mr. Ralphman, the Inferno, and Zero to Hero, do seem to be having a little fight of their own. Let's see if Zero to Hero can maybe make up some time here. They are going to be on a significantly different pit strategy than the rest of the grid, so that might become some sort of an advantage. We'll check in with our leader as he heads through the kink. Milan in the number 34 racer. As we head into the end of the first 15 minutes, what do you think we're going to start to see in this final half hour?
I was just thinking about if there's going to be lap traffic at all.
It does seem like they're creeping closer and closer, at least to Zero to Hero.
Especially after the pit, right? Yeah.
I wonder how their tires are holding up as well. It does seem everybody's on the soft tires with the exception of Maple and the Inferno on the mediums.
Yeah, so I was just looking at his top speed, and I think he was hitting 237.
Who was Milan?
Yeah, this guy here, yeah.
Definitely some solid pace. I mean, he's up and over that 4-second gap mark that we were looking forward to. And just to give you a sense of what that's like to the battle behind, as Victor creeps back into a second range of El Garito in front again. Victor's not giving up on P2. Victor's not even giving up on the hunt for P1 yet. He's pushing El Garito to get closer and closer. That's some solid motivation there. As Victor heads through the carousel. Sometimes I get so caught up in the race here, forget they were broadcasting it, but yeah, still within that second range to El Garito in front in the Union Jack car. It's going to be a funny one to get alongside of. It's hard probably not to look at it, focus on the race ahead. Both racers kind of matching pace to Milan, not too big of a difference between them, trading tenths between sectors. As both racers going wide, but Victor a little bit straighter into Thunder Valley, giving him a nice advantage into some of the final corners. He's going to be in drafting range.
I think he's got the draft.
It's typically about half a second for most of the Clout cars here. I think those very high aerodynamic cars you can get away with almost a second, but these Radicals doing a good job of pulling each other in. As Victor catches it. So
on this next straight, he might be able to get a pass.
It all comes down to this corner. I think Victor heard you because he's trying to get close.
Oh, he had to brake a bit more than he should have.
Yeah, I mean, you can see in the delta below that draft is helping him stick with El Garito in front, as he's not gaining or losing too much, but unfortunately not going to be able to take advantage of the draft on that straightaway as you were hoping, and will have to regain another position in a different way through Sector 2 here. You can see that move is coming soon, though. El Garito going to have to start to put on the defense, which is going to let Milan walk a little bit further away once more.
He's definitely feeling the pressure now.
You see a lock up there from the number 70 car as we head into the carousel. Victor going to have to be careful because that draft is actually going to hurt you on a turn like that. keeps moving through. Looks like a little bit of a spin from Cesar. Loses 2 positions to Ferris and Potato. Now in a little bit of a battle with Jawa. But not as long-winded of a battle as this one between El Garrito and Victor. Victor going to go a little bit wide, giving El Garrito a chance to get the acceleration advantage into Bill Mitchell. Unfortunately, they are not able to. Comes down to turn 14. Can El Garrito take it a little cleaner? They definitely can, as Victor spends a lot of time on the grass there. So that'll give Ash a chance to get close. At least close enough to be in drafting range. Not going to be able to make a move on turn 1. Depending on the pit strategies, it's got to be close enough for that to come into play soon. Speaking of coming into play, we finally have something else going on in the back here. Jawa and Cesar find themselves fighting one more time. The Duck Divers earning their name through turn 1 with a nice clean pass on the inside. Jawa going to try and stay within that drafting range and maybe pick up an opportunity at the end of this long straightaway. Only 1.4 seconds separating these guys, and Potato in front. They're going to have to decide how much they want to fight versus turn this into an opportunity for P5 before the pit stops.
Hope that Zero is able to rejoin. That's good.
I did see that. Oh, as Jawa goes deep and ends up disconnecting, unfortunately. So it's going to be between Cesar and Potato now in the battle for P5. A little less pressure on Cesar, so that'll let him open up the throttle a bit and try and get back up to the man in front. El Garrito 1.3 seconds off from Victor in P2. So he'll have to focus on the pace as well there.
Tires are starting to fall off.
That's what I would imagine. We're checking in with 0 to Hero now. Finds himself 2 laps behind the rest of the grid, but still pushing along. Actually starting to catch up a little bit to the Inferno. See, not a ton of time separating them on the track.
Well, he has those fresh tires.
Yeah, they are going to be on a different pit strategy, so will be a nice advantage for one of them. We'll jump over to the Inferno, who's probably starting to think about that pit stop as we reach the halfway point here. Heading through turn 7 with a little bit of positive delta, so seeing some improvement on their lap time, always helpful. Also going to be checking in on Mr. Ralph Mann in the number 35 Jägermeister Racer. Car always looks so good. Was it Jägermeister liveries? It's the deer, you know? It's great. Only 6.5 seconds separating Maple and Mr. Ralph Mann. Maple Ralph Mann really just needing to stay out in front of the Inferno, but every position counts in a race like this. You want to have as much of a cushion as you can. Oh, is Mr. Ralph Mann going to be our first one to come into the pits as they come in with quite a lot of speed. And we'll see where this puts them.
Pit lane entry markers. Is that it there, the yellow?
I think like it auto kicked in. I don't think he hammered it, so at least he doesn't get a penalty or anything like that. And wow, he is one of the final pit boxes. So we see a nice clean entry there. The Inferno able to get by. Is 0 to Hero going to be able to lap themselves? Judging by the sounds of things, I think we're getting a tire swap here as well. I don't know if any of them tested to see how long the tire swap is. But 0 to Hero actually coming into the pits right now as well. So you can see 0 to Hero a little bit further back, just coming into the pits. That's going to give Mr. Ralph Mann a nice clean exit. And we see it was a 64-second pit stop. So that is a long one. Milan going in while Victor and El Garito stay out for one more. We'll see where that does as far as their pit stop times. It's nice that we're able to compare them now, see who gets an advantage. 0 to hero with a 48-second pit stop. So gains a little bit of time to Mr. Ralphman in front. Let's see where 0 to hero comes out in relation to traffic. 0 has a few cars in front, not too much pressure behind. We'll check in with Mr. Ralphman as well. Going to have the leaders on his tail shortly, but as long as he keeps on the pace, they'll eventually have to pull in for their pit. So that will help things out. Let's take a peek now at a battle that's been developing for a little while. Cesare slowly getting closer and closer to Potato in the black and white number 5 racer as we head through turn 5. So aptly named corner. It's nice to see all the pit stops kind of playing out. Milan with a 48-second pit. So everybody getting a little bit slower now. Not sure if it's 1 lap less fuel or what the difference is for them. That's a huge difference in Mr. Ralphman's 64. Cesare able to pick that up after a little slip up from Potato. He's not going to give that one up too easily. Still looking for Maple to exit and rejoin. Don't see them moving quite yet. There we go. We see them starting to get on the hunt. See what their pit time is in just a moment. Maple comes through with a 69-second pit stop.
Oh, they're pitting now, yeah.
Nice. And we do see El Garito pitting, but Victor staying out for one more.
Way.
So Victor really going for an overcut strategy here. That's going to be very interesting to see. Let's jump over to El Garito and see where they come out in relation to Milan. We see Perez heading through. Cesar and Potato are going to stay for one more lap as well. So big risk being taken by the top 3 on the board currently. You see Milan just heading by on the straightaway as El Garito gets ready to head out. Puts up a 48-second pit stop as well, so doesn't find any advantage there. Still sitting on the 5.2 second gap ahead. Gains 2 seconds to Perez behind though, as Perez goes in for a 50-second stop. So someone's probably getting fired in Perez's pit crew. And disappointing for sure, but things happen. Let's check in with Victor because Victor's now put themselves in a position where lap traffic may become a roll. They head through the carousel with a bit of pace towards, want to say that's Mr. Ralphman in front in the Jägermeister racer. I'm imagining they'll be pitting this lap based on how everybody else was in for. And it's a 48-second pit stop, so it should still put them in front of El Garito. Unless they've pulled out some kind of alternative strategy. Haven't seen anyone do faster than a 48 yet, so that's that mark. Is Victor going in? Victor staying out.
Oh.
So a very different strategy for Victor here, putting up a 2:08.6 this lap. Not sure if that's helping or hurting, as I don't see any of those times being replicated by some of our other racers on the grid. Milan starting to close the gap to Potato in front, who has not yet pit either. So that's going to be an unfortunate one. You don't want to get passed again by the lead car before you go in for your pit. Potato's going to stay out for one more. So hopefully they can hang on. I think Milan's going to get their chance this lap, unfortunately, but we'll stick with 34 car. Ooh, taking it real wide through turn 1. Looking for a nose in.
You gonna go
through
for
turn
it?
3.
Oh.
Absolutely went for it. On fresher tires, fresh fuel. Just has the power and the grip to make a move on this part of the straightaway. Tried to grab on with Potato. Potato pushing forward with some speed into turn 5. Is he going to be able to line up a move? Not quite, losing a couple tenths at a time to the leader. So I think this is when you want to start to think about pitting. With the 48-second stop, you are still going to come out ahead of the Inferno. And you've got 13 seconds separating yourself and Cesar. Potato, a little crash with the environment this lap too. Might not have taken too much damage though. Thankfully, the multipliers are turned down for today's event. Having the car in the middle makes things look a little bit nicer for El Garito. It's less than a 5-second gap, and he's closing it, as opposed to that 5.1 second gap that I think it still is to the leader, maybe 5.6 now. As Milan really powering through. Last lap, a 2:07.9 to El Garito, or sorry, a 2:06.8. Real life, but it doesn't seem like these guys are getting clogged for any cut infractions, but that'll stay the broadcast secret, I guess, for now. Not sure why that is. We'll have to rely on someone to go through and manually watch the whole race. Thank you, Frontier Speed.
No problem.
Get a message 2 minutes after the race ends. Yeah, they're clean. It's good.
Less than 10 times speed.
So Potato, Cesar, and Victor still out on the track. This is getting pretty interesting. I don't know.
Is he losing time, like sticking this out, or like should he?
I mean, Victor's holding a decent pace. He's around the 2:07s. He's not really losing to anybody. Seems to be holding off Cesar, who's 22 seconds away and also hasn't done a pit yet. So it's not the worst decision we've seen. Jawa disconnecting to lag issues, unfortunately.
Yeah, just before he disconnected, it looked like he was like teleporting across that section of the track.
Unfortunately, it does happen. Oh, speaking of does happen, look at that. El Garito 1.5 seconds away from Potato in front here. So going to get a little wheel-to-wheel action if Potato decides to stay out for one more. That number 70 car looking for a taste.
This could work in his favor, like get a nice draft off him. Because I mean, Potato's going to have to pit like this lap or next lap.
You would think this lap, as we see Victor finally going in, coming in off of the lead position. It'll all come down to whether or not Cesar does as well. A little bit of a spin from 0 to hero around the final corner. Milan going to really catch up now as Cesar pulls in for a pit as well. And Potato does not. I wonder how long the tire swap changes, though. Are you even gaining anything at this point is going to be the question. We'll see how this pays off for Victor and Cesar, as we're going to keep an eye on their pit times. Victor coming out with a 54-second pit stop, so loses a ton of time to El Garito, who they were ahead of when Ash came into pit. So it doesn't look like it paid off for Victor there. Cesar exiting the pit lane here with a 50-second pit stop. So unfortunately, the overcut strategy doesn't seem to have saved too much time for either one of them. Both racers have a lot of a long way to climb. Cesar at least does get within 20 seconds of Victor in front, following a nice quick pit stop. At least there's that. And I guess now the question becomes, what does this mean for Potato? Potato and the Inferno, our last two racers to hold off from pitting. I mean, they'll have a fresh tire advantage at least at the end.
And is he using softs right now, or he probably has mediums on?
They're both on, well, the Inferno's on mediums, but Potato's on softs. So I'm not sure how Potato's tires are faring up. They did do a 210 on their last lap, even though a 208 is their personal best. So can't say it's helping, but it might not be hurting. Again, with the amount of time all of these pits have taken, I'm not seeing anyone do better than 48 seconds. So the advantage would have to come in lap time with a low weight. Not again, not again. Oh my God.
What is happening?
Just refusing to pit. We'll see if the Inferno picks one up on this lap.
Is it a mandatory pit?
No, it's the same as the other ones. The fuel consumption is turned up so that you will have to at some point. Now here's the thing, what if Potato just lets the tires go and only pits for fuel? That could be a quick pit stop.
That's what I'm thinking he's aiming for at this point.
Even though there's softs, they might just try it.
Yeah.
The Inferno certainly can, and that might help in the fight to Mr. Ralph Man. The Inferno is sitting about 2:15s, 2:14s with their lap time currently. Oh, as we see a little bit of a battle going on. Ferez catching up to Potato now in that yellow racer. Oop, and Potato gonna slow up and let Ferez by. Knows that it's not quite his fight, as he's probably fuel saving at this point, just to get by. Whereas with a little bit of a wiggle into Carousel, holding strong. We're not quite seeing the pace from Victor that we thought we would. The Inferno now taking their pit, so we'll see how long or how much that one helped them. Again, wouldn't change the tires at this point, especially since they're already on the mediums. I would just full send it with just a fuel sop. Mr. Ralph Man getting by now. We'll see if Maple is able to as well. As we're gonna lump in with Potato, I gotta see if this man goes for the pit. He has to, right?
He is.
Okay.
Wait, let me hold my breath here.
So now the moment of truth, where does he come out? What did this help him with overall? It's a big gap to Mr. Ralph Man, so I guess it would be the gap to Cesari, which was a 13-second gap, if I remember correctly. So that's kind of the mark, is does he get out with more than a 13-second gap? It's going to look difficult. Cesar already passed.
I don't think he's doing tires.
I don't know. This is a long one. He must be. Okay, he's going.
No, he didn't.
No tires?
Oh.
Let's see. So he goes out with a 47 seconds. So does Inferno. So those are going to be the two fastest pit stops we see. And he finds himself 15 seconds away from Cesari in front. Unfortunately, I don't know if that's going to be enough to close the gap. El Garito must have had a spin because Ferez is now breathing down his neck. Oh, or is getting held up by some lap traffic.
Oh.
Wow, this is interesting. Ferez going to get an opportunity around the carousel. As Garrido forced to fight pretty hard to try and catch up to Milan in front. 10.9 seconds separating them with 6.5 minutes remaining. So unfortunately, I don't think he's going to be able to catch up, but does need to hang on to this podium position if he can. Perez ripping around Canada corner with some pace, getting a nose in on the rear of that number 70 car of El Garito. This is going to be a big straightaway for Osh. He's going to have to find a way to defend that inside line as they get closer and closer to the end.
Down the middle and then go to your right.
Ooh, Perez with a little bit of a fake out takes away the line. Osh had already transferred to trying to put the squeeze on, and Perez saw the opportunity to cross back over. El Garito gonna try and line up that same crossover opportunity through turn 3. Will have a lot of pace, but a little bit shorter of a runway to do something with. So gonna have to act soon. Another little bit of a fake out maneuver here as he lines himself up this time for the outside. He might have to try and do one more switchback. This is gonna be tricky. Late on the brakes, so we'll be able to take away at least that outer lane, but a light brush up on the grass will prevent him from any sort of acceleration advantage. Milan gaining 2 seconds so far in this battle in front. So really it's turning into just a solid battle for P2 here in the final moments of the race. You see Maple creeping up to an opportunity on Mr. Ralphman, so we'll keep an eye on that. As Cesare has a little bit of a run-in with the wall, we'll see if that helps Potato at all. They do seem to be able to keep moving. Man, I don't think El Garito's felt the pressure like this all race. Things are really starting to pick up between them. Perez has found his footing with a 2:07.5 on the last lap, 2:06.3 as his personal best, which is actually 0.6 ahead of El Garito's. That's pressure.
Yeah.
So one more time here, Perez is going to try and line himself up into the start-finish straightaway. Ripping down Road America and moving forward a 10th at a time on that Union Jack racer in front. Gonna try for the outside this time, see if it gives him any better luck. And we'll get more than just a nose by. Ooh, there's a little bit of contact between the two. And El Garito slows down to let Perez catch back up, but unfortunately for them, that allows Victor to catch up as well and turn this into a three-way battle for P2. So a tense moment here. It's only probably about 2 laps remain, and the third car has gotten an opportunity to join the fight. And Victor has the pace to keep with them. He has a 2:06.7 in the bag. If he can pull something like that out, he's going to move by at least one of these guys as this fight for P2 gets even more interesting. Now, Victor and El Garito are in the same class. Those guys are currently tied for P3. Both of them have the chance to take P2 away from Cesar pending the results of today's event. Whoever comes out on top of this fight is going to take it home, or at least take P2 home. Victor falling a little bit off the pace. Gonna need Perez to apply a little bit more pressure to that Union Jack racer as we get closer and closer to the final laps. These guys are pushing 2-minute laps at best, so it's only gonna be one more after this. Perez with the best opportunity to make something happen in these final few moments, but not the only opportunity, as Victor lurks closely behind. We're going to jump forward to the yellow racer up front and see if he can finally get within drafting range and get by on turn 1. So he's got the draft, taking a look at things. He's gaining about 100th at a time. Not a lot, but enough to get closer and closer. So a late dive is only going to get him close enough to maybe make a move on the second straightaway, but that's really all he needs. 2/10 now separating these guys. The Union Jack Racer pushing hard to try and defend from the yellow radical of Perez behind. Perez pushing forward with some speed, going to be sitting nicely in the drafting range here on a little bit of a shorter straight. Has to think about where he wants to make his move. We've seen a fake out before, but just sticks clean to the outside. Osh going for the squeeze. Leaves a little bit more room after the incidents last time around, and will find himself with the acceleration advantage heading into turn 6. Perez not looking to give up too easily, as this is going to be the final lap, so he knows he's got to make something happen somewhere. Gonna look for another move to the inside and switches back through. That forces Osh to take things a little bit wider than he thought he was going to. Perez will have a chance to get close on the carousel. But that draft again is dangerous through here. It can actually hurt you a little bit, as we see him lose a 10th to the 70 car in front. Perez now ripping through Kettle, getting a little bit closer one more time. Only a few corners left to try and make a move. He has to get decisive. Goes for the inside with a very late braking opportunity. Pulls it back around through Canada corner. Oh, and Victor.
Oh, no.
Victor moves by El Garito. That's not going to be good. El Garito needs to get that position back. Doesn't have much more time to try and find it. It'll all come down to the final corner between these two. Victor able to pick up that piece around, I want to say, the second to last bend. And even with a drafting opportunity, El Garito not going to be able to get by. So all came down to a final corner. El Garito unfortunately takes things a little bit wide, trying to defend from the move of Perez. And that gives Perez P2, Victor P3, and El Garito a solid P4. Cesar picking up P5 in the process. I believe, if I'm looking at the standings correctly, that is going to allow Victor to take B2 overall. El Garito might be tied with Cesar for P3. Milan takes home the pro class up front. As far as the other classes, I'm not 100% sure where they currently end up. You're going to have to tune in on the Discord and see when they announce the final standings. As Mr. Ralphman takes us home, Speed, what do you make of today's events?
I was not expecting that finish. Like, that's unfortunate. I think El Garito got caught up with some traffic there and allowed P3 and P4 to catch up. And then that mistake there at the end. That wasn't unfortunate for him. He was doing well.
It was quite unfortunate. I was hoping he'd be able to cling on. Milan, though, takes it away. 45-minute and 25-second race altogether, as Mr. Ralphman heads across the line, our final racer of the evening to do so. Speed Bump, you've got a few races left in the GT3 class, so we'll let you go to practice, but see you all for the next one.